Why do some people experience genuine fear when they are left entirely alone, even for short periods of time? When the noise of the world drops away, the physical environment shifts. Silence starts to carry a strange, heavy weight, making empty spaces feel suddenly and physically uncomfortable. It leads to a strange behavioral paradox. We will actively seek out stress, scroll on screens until we're exhausted, or surround ourselves with white noise, purely to avoid the uninterrupted company of our own minds. Biologically, a brain stripped of external stimuli registers a sharp drop in input. It misinterprets this total isolation as an immediate threat to survival. The frantic urge to check a phone in a quiet room is a misfiring survival mechanism designed to keep us in a state of constant protective motion. Once that motion stops, the mind shifts from receiving information to processing it. Without outside noise, your head becomes an echo chamber, demanding that you finally look at an entire backlog of unprocessed emotions. Without distractions, the mind becomes a container that rapidly fills with chaotic, abstract shapes, intrusive thoughts, anxieties, and insecurities. As they accumulate, they create internal pressure. The volume turns up, causing a physical spike in anxiety. For many, this anxiety isn't just about the present moment. The discomfort is often tied to past attachment wounds. The brain recognizes the sensation of isolation and maps it directly onto previous experiences of abandonment. A safe, empty room begins to feel like a repetition of past trauma. The terror of an empty room is the fear of being trapped with your own unresolved psychological history. Consistently avoiding this silence creates a condition known as emotional dependence. When you refuse to sit with your own thoughts, you outsource mental processing, reaching for media consumption purely to regulate your nervous system. Every time you reach for a screen to soothe anxiety, your internal emotional resilience weakens. Over time, this dictates behavior. People will endure unhealthy relationships or tolerate toxic situations simply because those environments stave off the prospect of true disconnection. This intense aversion to being alone has nothing to do with the room you're standing in. The desperate attempt to escape isolation is the act of running away from facing your true, unfiltered self. To break the cycle, we have to pull apart the definition of what it means to be physically alone. Loneliness is a jagged state of emotional pain, defined by a perceived lack of connection and a reliance on outside forces for stability. Solitude, however, is a chosen state. It replaces that dependency with stillness and a deeply rooted internal security. Moving from one to the other requires a deliberate choice. You have to sit within the uncomfortable silence and let the backlogged, unprocessed thoughts finally exhaust themselves. When the noise finally settles, you begin to build a reliable, secure relationship with your own identity. Because you can never leave your own mind, transforming loneliness into solitude changes your baseline from a state of escape to one of presence. True emotional peace is not found by adding more people or more noise to your life. And maybe true peace begins when sitting completely alone finally ceases to feel empty and instead feels whole.